Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tash. We are going to be going through something that's very private to me, as I had mentioned in a previous video, because I have filmed this video once before. As you can tell by the title, we're going through my Kindle. Oh, she's a bit grubby, don't look at that. But we're going through my Kindle. That is the last book I read in my Kindle. It's not actually in my Kindle library anymore. I think it's marked as read, but yes, we're going through my Kindle. So technically I did film this video yesterday, but when I looked at the footage, I forgot that I had changed my video settings and it was not clear. I couldn't even see like anything on my face. I don't know why. It was very pixelated and grainy. So I'm refilming it. Basically, I went through every single book that was on here and just described the reason as to why it's on here, if I'm going to be having some upcoming vlogs, etc, etc. Some of these are books that I've had on my Kindle for a long time. Some of these are books that are ones that I've already got physically on my shelf, but I know that I want to read them on Kindle because I'm just always wanting to read Kindle. I don't know what it is about reading on a Kindle, but I just seem to read so much faster. It literally flies by, and I think it's maybe because of the digital screen. Even though this isn't a blue screen as such, because it is the Kindle Paperwhite, it still feels like I'm just getting that right amount of light to my eyeballs where I'm like addicted to it. And I don't know if that is maybe like a thing. It probably is. Anyway, then there's also some fan fiction on here, so we will be going through, yes, some very personal stuff of mine. And then there's also just mainly all my Kindle Unlimited and purchase books. So I do have quite a mix of both. Mainly the ones I have purchased myself and not through Kindle Unlimited are books that were either on sale for like 99p, or I think there's only 2 books on here that may have been over that price. Let's jump in. Let's go through everything that I have on here. So the first book I do have is Corrupt. Now this was, I'm pretty sure, on the last video. It's still not been read. I am scared to read it because the last time me and Penny D, it was Credence, so I'm just gonna put it like that. It was enjoyable, but it just wasn't me. Like I liked it because it was fun, but like when you really think about it, like it's not like a book that I'm like, this is revolutionary, this is gonna change my life. But like Credence, I think that was like a moment. Corrupt, I've heard some very mixed reviews, and I think the main person that I've heard that is like a massive hater of this series, the Devil's Night series I think it is Larry. Larry has pretty similar taste with my dark romance from when I used to read it. So I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this, because I've also had many books from Penny that we didn't click. That's sitting there. It's from Kindle Unlimited. I don't know if it's still on Kindle Unlimited because it was from such a long time ago, but I've got it. Then a book as well that I think was on the last video too was Savage Lands. Urban fantasy, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. This was purchased when I was just joining Book Talk, I think, and it was massive then. Everyone was talking about it, raving about it, but I've not heard one person since then talk about their love for it. So it's sitting there. Will I get to it? Possibly in autumn or winter, because that's probably the most likely time that I will pick up something like that. Now, the next book, look, you know those days where you can go and buy books for free or download books for free through Kindle? Like the authors have like a day. I forget what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's like a Kindle Day or something. I downloaded this one. It was the only book I downloaded, and when I read this book description yesterday, I was a bit confused. So it said that it was a single dad romance, which I understand why I've downloaded it now, but the description's really confusing. I don't really know. It did not entice me, so that book is probably just going to sit there. I should probably just undownload it, but that's effort. I have to click like 3 buttons to do that. Blood Mercy by Vila Roth. This is the Blood Grace Book 1. I think that that's what the series is called. It says it on the cover. I loved this cover, and I saw it probably recommended to me like over 2 years ago now. Someone mentioned that they really enjoyed this fantasy series, but since then I've seen some mixed reviews, and it's just been sitting here. It's in KU. I don't know if it's still in Kindle Unlimited. It's there. I'm pretty sure it was like one of those moments when you're on TikTok and you see one quote and then you're like, I'm gonna download that. I think that was it. There was no real like, you must read this type of review. It was like a quote TikTok. I assumed in my head that it was like, this is the best book that's ever been recommended and I need to read it now because this quote looks delicious. Yeah, so I downloaded it. Haven't read it. I also have some Hermione fanfiction on here, and if anyone knows me, you will know that I went through like a Hermione phase last year. I did mention it, but I didn't end up putting any reviews besides I think Manical, which technically you're not meant to review fanfiction, and I didn't know that at the time. I've learned from my mistakes. I won't be reviewing these books. I probably may do like a reading vlog of them for like funsy, but obviously you can't rate and you can't review, and you definitely can't buy fanfiction. If anyone doesn't know that. All my other books, I've actually downloaded them from AO3 and I've sent them as like a file to my Kindle. So I've got most of the fan fictions that I've ever read from AO3 on here, and they're still on here, which is like so good. I can just continue rereading them whenever I want. But the ones I do have left in my Kindle, I have Remain Nameless. I've heard really good things about this. Don't actually know if this is like an alternate universe. Oh, I just marked it as read. Okay, so yeah, the ones I had read last year, I read obviously Manacled, The Auction, Isolation, and Secrets and Masks. Nothing will ever compare to Manacled, and I possibly could have been me also reading all of these fan fictions in succession and just not giving myself time to, you know, step back from the whirlwind of Manacled and just like take a break, because like everything I was just comparing to that and they just didn't hit the same. They were good and they were really fun, but unfortunately I just wasn't getting that same feeling. So I've taken a break, and you know what, I may possibly go back one day because it's so much fun. Like honestly, Dramini is like a whirlwind of emotions and I just absolutely love it. I'm just gonna go through the ones that I have, and I'm probably not going to talk about them too much, but I've got Remain Nameless, Draco Malfoy, and The Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love, which I know is a rom-com and everyone says this is so good. So I've sort of held off because I want to go into that firstly when I have that feeling of reading a Dramini fanfiction again. And then I have All You Want, which is the same author as Manacled as well. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I feel like this was the one that was like betas and alpha. What's that called again? A megaverse. I could be wrong. Maybe that's a different one that she wrote, because I think she had a few on there. But I don't know if her work's still up anymore because now she's being traditionally published, so I don't think that they've got any of her original work still up on there. I think she just had to take it down because she is reworking most of her books now to make him obviously legible for sale and not be copyrighted for Harry Potter. Yeah, that's basically all the fanfictions that I have. I'll go through the ones that I've downloaded that are relating to like my physical TBR, which I've just got here because they were on special. Six Crimson Creams by Elizabeth Lim, and I also downloaded Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. No others have been bought that are on my physical TBR, but I do have a couple from Kindle Unlimited that are on here as well. So my physical TBR, but the Kindle Unlimited books on here, we've got A Cup of Zodiac by Alexis Gorgon. I think that that's like a Grumpy Sunshine workplace romance. I have the Book of Azrael, and I've also got the second book, which I believe is like the Throne of Broken Gods. I've downloaded both of those because they're both on KU, and I've only got the first book on my shelf though. I also have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This will be my first book from her, and I do know that she's obviously got Babel and Yellowface, but I haven't read any of those. I know that this is her first series, or it's a trilogy should I say, and everyone says that this is her best work, so I think I'm going to start here, and then I know she's got a book coming out start of next year I believe. Then I'll probably move into Babel and then Yellowface. I've heard very mixed reviews about Yellowface. I'm not sure. It's got really good reviews from like most people on Book Talk, but a lot of personal friends of mine that I know have said that they didn't like it. I'm not really sure where I'd stand with it, so I think I'm going to wait to read that one last. They're all the books that I have that are actually on my physical TBR that I've got on here. The rest are purely just books that I've downloaded because I want to read them and they're on KU or I've purchased them. This book here I've purchased because I saw a interview, or maybe I saw someone else's review of reading this. I can't remember which one I saw first. Someone said that Sarah J Maas got all of her inspiration for the ACOTAR series and just all her series in general from this author and this book in particular. So I was like, interesting, I'm intrigued. Saw the cover and I was like, surely that's not the right book. But apparently it is. So it's called The Winter King by C.L. Wilson. The cover is atrocious and it's kind of reminding me of those old romance books that you see like your grandma reading, which you know has got definitely the filthiest stuff in there. I looked at this and I was like, very interesting cover, but I've heard so many good things about it, so I'm saving it for a good reading vlog coming up probably in the next month or so. Yeah, I'm excited to start it. I don't know anything plot-wise, what sort of magic systems, anything like that. I know nothing besides obviously this is like a Sarah J Maas recommendation. I'm excited. And then I've got the two books here for the Magnolia Parks. I do have a Daisy Hates, which technically I've already read, and then I've got the Magnolia Parks 2 book, but I need to download the Daisy Hates 2 book as well. So I need to return that one and swap it. These books will be read within the autumn months. Keep a lookout on my channel because I'm surely will be finishing that series by then, because it's a goal of mine to have it done before the end of the year. I have probably mentioned this quite a few times on the channel, but I'm not a huge fan of Magnolia Parks and like BJ's dynamic, and also just like Magnolia as a character. I don't like the name dropping of the designers and all that stuff, it really makes me cringe. And also like the cheating thing, not my favorite trope. Like I can deal with it, but like when this one was a little too close to home for me. Not gonna, you know, say any spoilers of what happens at the end of the first Magnolia Parks book, but a little too close to home. Anyways, but I definitely want to be finishing those three books, sorry. There's the third Magnolia Parks book. I want to have them done before the end of the year. Then the next book I've downloaded because it was on KU and I've seen so many people talking about it as well. Obviously, I'm saying the exact same thing for all of these books, but purely all of my recommendations come from Book Talk and BookTube. I'm just probably going to say that for every book here, but I saw Tammy, she's given me actually a couple recommendations in here, and I also saw a couple other creators talking about this book. It's definitely not a new recommendation, but it's a very well-loved book which I really want to start, and it's The Sword of Cajun by M.L. Wong. I know it's about motherhood, and truly that's all I know. I've heard it's very emotional, very well thought out. It's just a very well put together fantasy book. Yeah, I'm definitely very excited to start it. I have very high hopes, and I've said very about 6 times there. Sorry guys. Another really well-known fantasy book, which these 2 books actually I'm going to mention are very popular at the moment. I'm probably saving them for a fantasy anticipated reads book when I'm in the mood for fantasy again. So I do have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and another one that I have is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. They're both on KU, so I got them, I've downloaded them, and they're sitting here for when I'm ready to read them. I don't know when that's going to be, but it probably will be in like the next couple of months when I get that fantasy feeling again, when the sun's disappearing like it has today. I have downloaded 2 books from this series. I'm just bringing it up because when I first saw them, I was like, what are these books about? One's called The Love of My Next Life, and the second book is The Love You Fight For by Britt Benson. I had to look at them yesterday and read it out because I've actually forgotten what they are as well again now, but I didn't expect to be interested, but then I read the description and I was like, oh. When I read this, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. The description for the first book in the duet is, I calmed his demons, he created mine. And yesterday I was calling him Malcolm, but his name is Macon Davis. Macon Davis. So it goes, I calmed his demons, he created mine. Macon Davis. My best friend's brother, my tormentor, my least favorite person. Pothead, delinquent, a careless, directionless loser. This girl. That's what I used to believe, but I didn't really know him. And when I finally saw him, it was the best and the worst to ever happen to me. We burned hot and fast, passion and anger, love and pain. We were reckless, naive. We were doomed from the start. When I finally saw Macon Davis for who he was, we both went down in flames. Why am I kind of interested? Like, I have no idea what anything is happening. Like, what is the plot? Like, where is this going to be going? All I know is it might be a bit of a dark romance, but I'm interested. I feel like that'll be perfect for when I need like a spicy, brainless, brain rot type of book, and they probably maybe some high angst, but I'm interested. Another book which, again, a lot of people have been talking about, it's been doing its rounds on Book Talk, and I am probably going to be trying to read this soon. It is The Lies We Steal by Monty J. There is, I think it's a 4-book series, and the book covers look pretty questionable. I've heard the first book's okay, and then the rest of the books in the series are great. All I know is it's like a high society, maybe university, really rich kids type of book, and they're just very dark, wealthy people that you know, have a lot of power. I downloaded it. I'm very interested to see if it's going to be more of like a dark book with plot, like spice and plot, or if this is just going to be more of an erotica book. If it is an erotica book, I probably wouldn't continue the series, but if there is a little bit more substance to it, I'll definitely will continue reading if I enjoy the first book. I actually don't know if I've heard a bad review about it yet, but it's taking off, but it's not, you know, hit that level of everyone's reading it. We'll see. Another book which I saw came on KU, one of my favorite authors actually, because I really enjoyed all of her other books and I've got them down here. This particular book unfortunately hasn't come out with traditional publishing like the other ones I have on my shelf, so I've not purchased the book because I don't want the spines to be different in case this one's like US version edition where they're a bit taller. So I downloaded the KU book and I probably will read it, and then hopefully I'll just wait until the traditionally published book comes out. who knows when that might be, is Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. This is a single parent romance. I'm pretty sure it's the mum who's a single mum. A grumpy, slow burn book is exactly what I'm in the mood for at the moment. And I started it, I read one chapter, and then I stopped myself because I wasn't vlogging. So it's sitting here, I'm waiting. It probably will be very soon that I'll be reading it. Oh, another fantasy book, sorry, I forgot to mention before, which was also suggested by Tammy. She had talked about this being like one of her favorite reads of the year so far, and it's The Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I don't know how long this series is, but again, like I've said, for most of these books, everyone is saying how great this series is. I know nothing else about it. I've just seen really great reviews, and I've sort of tried to stay spoiler free for it because I just want to go in blind with that same fantasy vlog. So yeah, I've got that one sitting there as well. Back into the romance, I've bought this one book. So this was not on KU, but it was on special for like $1.99, and that was Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. I enjoyed her other book, and I know obviously she writes fan fiction, and I think I've read some of her fan fiction. I don't know, remember, I think it was Love's Bitka, her fan fiction name. Maybe she wrote The Auction. I'm not 100% sure. I'll put up on her screen here what fan fiction she wrote, and then now she's obviously started publishing and she's got all these published books. I did like her other book, which was Forget Me Not. Yeah, Forget Me Not. I did enjoy that. I didn't love it. It wasn't like the most incredible book I've read. I've heard really good things about this book, especially the cello scene, which obviously is on the cover. So I'm very interested for when I'm needing a spicy romance book. I'll definitely be jumping into that. But I've also heard as well that it's just like a good book in general. Like there's good plot, it's got some substance to it. These three books are the last three books that I have here. I have Lauren Ash's new book, Love Unwritten. I have the first book on my shelf, but I know that this one's on KU, and I thought I'm just gonna read it because I don't want to buy the physical book if I don't like this series. And maybe I'm starting to grow out of Lauren Asher because most of her books so far that I've read since when I first started reading her books like a few years ago, I enjoyed them then, but now I've just slowly not been enjoying them as much. Maybe her writing style, and maybe I've outgrown it. Yeah, I didn't enjoy the first one in the series, and I've heard this one is just like over 600 pages or something, and it's sitting here. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but that 600 pages is making me just wanna we'll see when I get to it, but it's there because it's on KU, and I just want to keep it there in case, you know, it goes off KU at any time. And we've got my cowboy romances. These are the last two books I have. I downloaded Swift and Saddle by Lila Stage. I have the first book on my bookshelf over here. I've been trying to get this book from the Works because it is in the Works for like £2-3, but every time I go into Works, it's never there. It's sold out. So I need to keep an eye out for it and see if I can get the next two books in the series. But that's why it's here until then, in case I need a good, you know, cowboy romance. And I also downloaded Alive and Well. This was recommended to me on Amazon, which was what I was actually thinking. Maybe I'll do like a reading vlog of like Amazon's recommendations. I always get recommendations from Amazon of like from my previous books that I've read, and it like suggests books down there. So maybe I can try to do a reading vlog like that, because I just downloaded this one and I've not seen anyone talk about it, but it's Alive and Well by Bailey Hannah, and the cover looks cute. So she's a city girl. She's ending up on a cattle ranch. She needs a job, refuge from her abusive soon-to-be ex-husband. Ooh, this is going to be a hard one. So Austin's a gruff, no-nonsense rancher who's seriously regretting letting his head cook hire her own help. So she's going to be helping in the kitchen. She's also wearing her wedding ring on her finger while she's working there, so he's been noticing that. Okay, so when the past catches up with Cecily, I think that's how you name Cecily, I'd say. When her past catches up with her, Austin discovers that she's already placed a braiding iron on his heart and he wants her to stay. First, he needs to keep her safe. Okay, so obviously the ex-husband comes back, and it does have a massive list of trigger warnings here, and they are not easygoing trigger warnings. Oh, that might not be a very fluffy read, but I do love myself an angsty book, so that probably will be a good read when I'm in the mood for something that needs like some emotion drawn out of me, but make it cowboy. They are all the books that I have on my Kindle at the moment. I know you guys enjoyed my last video of this, so I thought, why not, you know, film an updated version of where I am a year later. Obviously, I've still got books on here a year later, which is just terrible. Maybe I should do a reading vlog of reading books that I've owned for over a year. Just seeing, you know, if they've been sitting there and they're literally 5-star reads, or if they've been sitting there for a reason and I knew that they weren't going to be for me. Maybe that's a good filming vlog. Let me know if you guys would like to see that one or the Amazon one. Let me know if you want to see both. Really enjoy just sitting down and talking through the books that I've currently got on my TBR. But I'm definitely going to be filming soon some more book recommendation video vlogs, sit down ones, so you guys can get some more recommendations from me. So if there's any book recommendation videos that you would like to see, make sure as well you comment that down below, because I'll be sure to make a list and we can go through them. Firstly, obviously with what you guys want to see first. Probably going to wrap up the video here because I am going to be starting to film another vlog that I'm starting. I'll love you and leave you, and I'll see you guys in my next video.